Hi, it's an honor to be here today. I'm very excited to get a chance to speak with you about the power of story. I guess the best place to start is at the very beginning, the first time a story impacted my life. And it was, you probably know this movie, it was Walt Disney's The Jungle Book. And for those who don't know anything about it, the musical adventure of The Jungle Book starts when Mowgli, a young boy raised by wolves, is urged by Bagheera, a wise old panther, and Baloo, the happy-go-lucky bear, to seek safety in the man village. But Bagheera the panther and Baloo the bear have a very hard time trying to get Mowgli to leave the jungle for human civilization. Needless to say, the adventure back to civilization was anything but civilized. The story of The Jungle Book taught me the importance of such noble qualities such as integrity, tradition, courage, and persistence. But most importantly, Mowgli's adventures through the fascinating and beautiful world of the jungle made me fall in love with the environment. From a very early age, the story of The Jungle Book managed to tap into my imagination and help me understand our human condition and our connection to nature. Through stories, we are connected to one another, to our ancestors, and to the natural world surrounding us. What human beings have in common is revealed through stories. Stories are a form of testimony. They help us understand and they create empathy. People listen to stories, not facts, because facts don't have adjectives. They don't make us understand. They can't make us feel. But stories energize, inspire, and engage. Is that the same problem? Yeah. So Joseph Campbell, a world-famous mythologist, discovered an underlying structure found in every great story and myth ever told, which he called the hero's journey. And according to Campbell, the hero's journey is an archetypal pattern that forms the structure of every great story ever told. And he defines a hero as someone who has given himself, his or her life, to something bigger than himself. And without exception, every great story involves a hero's transformation. There's the beginning state, the end state, and many in-between change states that incrementally lead to a hero's transformation. So we know that the story transforms the hero of the story, but it can also transform the listener and the storyteller as well. So just to give you a little background about myself, I was born here in the US, but my dad's Egyptian. And I have a lot of family in Egypt. So on one of my trips to visit my family in Egypt, a friend of the family had invited me to attend a wedding on the outskirts of Cairo in a village called Muatem. Well, in the eyes of the citizens of Cairo, the very word Muatem is synonymous to poverty, trash, and dirt. As it turns out, Muatem is Egypt's largest garbage village. It's home to 60,000 villagers known as the Zebelin, which in Arabic literally translates to garbage people. And in Muatem, garbage is piled 3 stories high, and the smell of rotting vegetables permeates the waste-covered streets. I remember the time feeling completely overwhelmed. This place was extraordinary, exotic. There was trash and dirt everywhere. But I guess what fascinated me the most was that what I saw as trash, the Zebelin viewed as treasure. As I soon learned, the city of Cairo had no official waste disposal system. Now, this is a city of 18 million, the largest city in the Middle East and Africa, and there was no official waste disposal system. So for generations, the citizens of Cairo had relied on the Zebelin to come and pick up their trash and bring it back to Muatem. And this is a picture of a Zebelin family unloading their truck after a day of work. So there in Muatem, the Zebelin would sort through mountains of trash, meticulously sorting out even very little bits of metal, food scraps, cloth, and paper into recyclable piles. And wherever I went in Muatem, they would tell me proudly how they recycled 80% of everything they collect. And that's in comparison to Western cities who would boast of a 30% recycling rate. I'm not sure what the recycling rate is in Nashville. Does anybody know? No? So through the eyes and the stories of the Zebelin that they related to me, I began to really see the world through their eyes. And where they got excited about a tiny piece of metal or plastic, so did I. And the plastic granulators and the cloth grinders and the cardboard compactors that constantly hummed became a beautiful soundtrack of Moattam to me. So through their experiences, what I learned was that Zebulin provided a very simple yet very efficient working model for a sustainable future. And I wanted to share with others, I wanted others to embark on the same journey that I had, to really show others the value of trash and the cost of throwing out the expertise of the Zebulin. So in 2005, over the course of 4 years, I embarked on a journey to bring the world of the Zebulin to life through a documentary. And that film, which became called Garbage Dreams, follows 3 teenage boys, Adham, Wissam, and Nabil, who are born into the trash trade in Moattam. And here's the trailer of the film.
هذا دقة يعني وبعدين عندنا مثلا بيقول كل واحد بياخد نصيبه خضري كده بقى
أنا اشتغلت في الزبالة دي أنا حوالي عندي 7 سنين
طبعا كان لازم غصب عني أكمل
بقول لك على حاجة
أصل قعدت تتعلم على الشغل ما اتعلمتش معاهم تتعلم
يلا لم الزبالة يا زبال
فحسيت إن أنا في نظر الناس قال
مش حاسس بالأمان خالص
لا في تربول لا يشتغل 24 ساعة يشتغل في الزبالة مش هيقدر يغطي نفسه برضه
نفسي إن أنا كنت أسافر بره قبلها بكتير أنا كنت قايل لهم هنا مش معقولة الواحد يكون أمره كله في حاجة واحدة عارف إن النجومية مسألة صعب لازم تطلع درجة في درجة
So, thank you. Thank you. Around the time I started to film, things got really bad for the Zebulin because around that time, the city of Cairo had signed contracts with 3 Western waste management companies for Cairo's pickup. And here's a nice publicity picture of the multinational trucks lined up in front of the pyramids. And these companies were contractually obligated to only recycle 20% of everything they collected, carting the remaining 80% off to landfills that were yet to be built. So the environmental cost of this decision was evident, but there was a human cost as well. 60,000 Zebulin began to see their livelihood disappearing. And so this is going to be hard to show you this prop, but before the multinationals came, Adham worked as an employee at a can cutting factory. And with his big scissors, as you saw in the clip, he would cut the aluminum tops off of tin soda cans to prepare them for recycling, because aluminum is actually worth a lot more money than tin. And as a visionary, Adham dreamed of owning his own big scissors one day and his own can cutting factory. But when the multinationals came, Adham was crushed. His dreams no longer seemed possible. And so with westernization and modernization encroaching on the Zebulin way of life, the Zebulin began to focus on taking their century-old recycling trade and turning it into a 21st century job. So at Moattam's recycling school, Adham and his friends there are taught the principles of recycling along with other standard studies like math, literacy, and hygiene. And the flexible hours of the school allow the kids to be able to still work and earn an income while getting educated. And as part of a foreign exchange program, Adham and Nabil and his friend Nabil are sponsored to go to Wales to learn about the modern Western recycling techniques. So here's a clip of them going to learn from the West.
وجات لي الفرصة إن ربنا بعت لي الفرصة زي دي دي
قلنا على الازاز بيتعاد تدويرها صغيره كبيره اي حاجه بيتعاد تدويره سواء في الحجم ده او في الحجم ده بيعاد تدويره. لا ده خلاص هنا مش بيتعاد تدويره يعني هو كده انتهى الشغل ده.
This is going to go to landfill. This is going to a hole in the earth.
يا نبيل لو جيت هتملي نبيل جمع ابواب بتاع ازاي؟ خسارة ان احنا مش عايشين في البلد. البلد خسرتنا. تفاهم كده وحط.
So when the multinational companies arrive to Cairo, Adham's whole world changes. He is forced to come face to face with the Western modern world that's encroaching on his way of life. But as you saw in Wales, Adham really begins to see that the Zebulun have much to offer the world. They are really experts in their field. The precision and care found in their methods can't be matched by the machinery of their Western counterparts. However, at the same time in Wales, Adham learns too, and he learns about this concept called source separation, which is a very fancy word for this practice of people separating their garbage before throwing it out. And so on his return back to Muatam, an last-ditch attempt to save the Zebulun livelihood, Adham and a group of Zebulun decide they're going to try to institute source separation in Cairo. So they go door to door asking residents to please, kindly separate your garbage before throwing it out. And much to their delight, a lot of the residents of Cairo begin to comply, and the practice of source separation really slowly begins to take hold. Very slowly, because it's a city of 18 million, and they're going door to door by themselves. So, but Adham is bolstered by the fact that the citizens of Cairo, and indeed the world, are really starting to pay attention to the dangerous overabundance of trash and the necessity of recycling. But more importantly, people are starting to respect the Zebulun. Respect for them as visionaries in the field of recycling. And so despite the hardship that Adham has faced, our hero finds the strength to dream again. Yet this time, he doesn't dream of owning a big scissors that cuts cans, but instead a speedy, shiny machine that cuts cans. And so we find our hero truly transformed by the end of the film. He has learned the value of the Zebulun trade, while at the same time began to really expand his view of what the Zebulun can achieve. And our hero, again, has given himself up to something greater than himself. He strides ahead, eager to mold the future of the community, as well, with any luck, future of recycling as we know it. So the power of story is that Adham puts a very human face on the very real problems of trash and the very real solution of recycling. So here's Adham signing his poster. The film premiered in 2009 at South by Southwest, and it played in over 100 film festivals around the world, including here at Nashville Film Festival. And we screened it at 150 community screenings. Community screenings are great because they bring together, followed by lively panel discussion that brings together citizens of every age and demographic group, as well as nonprofits and NGOs. And here's a screening in Cairo that was attended by waste pickers from around the world and different NGOs. And the best compliment I ever received was from a woman in this audience. She was a waste picker in India, and she said she didn't understand a word of the movie and couldn't read the subtitles, but seeing people so proud of their profession working in trash made her feel like her life was reflected back at her. So we see that the story of the Zebulun really mobilized, energized, and inspired viewers. In fact, in a survey, 41% of those responding to an ITVS community screening survey said that the film had inspired them to change their recycling habit and or volunteer at their local recycling initiative. And the film was viewed by over 1 million people. We also extended the reach of Garbage Dreams by creating an educational online video game. And this game allows players to take on the role of the Zebulun while at the same time learning the economic and environmental benefits of recycling. So we see how storytelling can benefit the audience, but how does it benefit the storyteller? Well, first of all, Adham became an international movie star. Here, here he is, swarmed by young girls after a screening in Austin, Texas. They're all trying to get his autograph. And the Zebelin have started to use garbage dreams as a tool in Egypt to educate residents for their ongoing source separation project. And I'm happy to report that the source separation project in Cairo has gained so much traction that the city of Cairo is formalizing the program. And plans are also underway to unionize the Zebelin. Thank you. Plans are also underway to unionize the Zebelin, to bring them together and restore their official standing with the city so they hopefully can collect household waste again. But so finally, like, how has the film changed me as a storyteller? Well, sharing the Zebelin story of the world has really changed me. Spending time with Adham and the community of Zebelin really opened my eyes to different perspectives. Mainly, like, I see trash now as a useful, valuable commodity, a livelihood, a career. And the most important thing is I came to realize that in order to solve the environmental crisis we are facing is to really look outside our narrow Western consumeristic worldview for solutions. And we can really transcend our narrow way of thought through story. Anthropologist Wade Davis often spoke of the renowned anthropologist Margaret Mead's Worth nightmare. The entire imagination of humanity, she feared, would become confined within the limits of our increasingly bland, anamorphous, and generic culture. Her nightmare was that one day we would wake up and not even remember the diversity of cultures and thoughts that we had lost. So we have to keep telling stories to keep Margaret Mead's nightmare from becoming a reality. Thank you so much. Thank you.